That's the honorable member for Kalani.
All right. Mr. Deputy, I just want to, while I'm on my feet, before the clock starts, I want to advise the clerk that at the 5-minute interval, give me a warning because I may have to shift because there's something I want to say at the end that would show this incompetent, irresponsible lack of care in government, what they are doing to people. Y'all stay tuned, because I know you're shocked. Mr. Deputy, I rise on behalf of the great constituency of Kalani to make my contribution to this mid-year budget debate. And the mid-year review was a creation of an F&M government. And some may recall that some in the PLP thought that this review was an unnecessary exercise. But given the serious problems with this budget and the lack of transparency by the Davis administration, the country can now see the wisdom in this review. The Bahamian people, Mr. Deputy, have gotten to know the real nature of the so-called New Day PLP. And 2.5 years ago, only about 40% of eligible voters voted for the PLP with certain expectations. These hopes, however, were dashed early on when the PLP imposed the heartless breadbasket tax on the foods and medicines most Bahamians eat and use. And the greedy nature of the PLP was further revealed as the party budgeted tens of millions of dollars per year for its high-paid consultants. And the government messed up the BPL fuel hedge the F&M left in place. This led, Mr. Deputy, to skyrocketing electricity bills for both homes and businesses. Then there is the luxury travel. The Prime Minister started touring the world in grand and unprecedented fashion at the taxpayers' expense. He took trip after trip after trip all over the place, riding up front in first class and staying in expensive luxury suites. In his mid-year statement, the Prime Minister, who is Minister of Finance, revealed that the government's net deficit for the first half of this fiscal year was $258.7 million. This exceeded their budget forecast by $127.6 million. And the New Day administration is on a wild spending spree. In the last budget debate, the PLP tried to convince us that they would spend less on travel this fiscal year. Now we see they're grabbing more money to feed the Prime Minister's jet-setting lifestyle and expensive habits. The New Day administration is adding $1.64 million more for travel for the office of the Prime Minister. There are curious numbers concerning the Prime Minister's extravagant travel. Mr. Deputy, I must say that all information I give, at the end, I will table the relevant documents, backup documents. As noted in Nassau Guardian's story on February 22nd, 2024, I quote, "There was a $150,000 allocation dated October 19th, 2023 for Prime Minister and delegation travel to Orlando, Chicago, and Miami, Florida. There was also a $169,000 allocation on October 19th, 2023 for Prime Minister and delegation travel to Orlando, Chicago, and Miami, Florida. These two allocations amount to $315,000. The question being asked, were all of these expenses for just one trip? Then there was a $30,000 allocation dated October 19th, 2023 for incidental expenses for the Prime Minister and delegation for travel expenses outside the Bahamas. Was this additional $30,000 for the same trip? If so, did this one trip alone cost a shocking and whopping $349,000? Mr. Deputy goes on, there was a $50,000 allocation dated September 13th, 2023 for Prime Minister's travel to various family islands. There was another $50,000 allocation dated November 29th, 2023 for Prime Minister and delegation travel to the family island. Another allocation of $50,000 was dated December 4th, 2023 for per diem and accommodations for Prime Minister and delegation travel to the family islands. And then there was $200,000 for the Prime Minister and delegation to travel to Orlando on just one occasion. These are just some of the outrageous disclosures regarding the Prime Minister's travel. Bahamians, Mr. Deputy, are shocked and disgusted. They didn't think anyone could spend that much just to go to the family islands or on simple trips to the United States. The $150,000 they spent on family island travel in 6 months works out, and I want all Bahamians to listen to me carefully, the expenditure. This works out to $25,000 per month, the Prime Minister's expenses just to the family islands. Now, Mr. Deputy, while the Prime Minister is spending $25,000 per month, the staff at ZNS have lost their insurance because the government has not paid the insurance since August of last year. Individuals within that corporation is ill, and if they present themselves to physicians, they must pay out of their pockets. Today, as I speak, there are individuals who have chronic disorders, who need serious medical care, and Mr. Deputy, the medical care and the costs are subjecting these individuals to bankruptcy because you did not carry on the cost of the insurance. It is not fair. It is not fair. And therefore, the bills that the staff at ZNS incur should be paid for by the government, not the individuals, because it's your irresponsibility that caused the insurance not to be paid since October of last year. Correct it. Which is more important, individual's life or the Prime Minister's travel? Which is more important? To me, life is more important. Fix it. Is the Prime Minister traveling to the family islands by way of New York? If you're spending $25,000 a month, you must be going to New York, Nassau, New York, then Eleuthera, or wherever. This Prime Minister, Mr. Deputy, is out of control. Why are these travel delegations so big? This is, as Bahamians would say, giddy spending of the people's money flying all over the world. The Prime Minister's, I withdraw. I withdraw, sit.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Freetown.
Mr. Speaker, you know, the actual member for Kalani in the COVID year, and we're going over and over this, spent actually $12,775,188 on travel when the entire world was locked down from March to the end of the budget.
Say it again. Because you blame me for locking that man. Say it again.
Now the entire world. The entire world. So you couldn't travel anywhere. You couldn't travel anywhere from March to July, yet he spent just about, well, more money than was approved for travel and subsistence on page 13 for this entire budget year, for 12 months of travel. And so if he is describing this as giddy, I agree with me. I agree, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Honourable member.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I agree with my MP. I agree with my MP. That means that they spent 12, no, St. Anne's is my MP. St. Anne's is pointing out the obvious. From July 1st to the 1st of March, they managed to spend more money than is budgeted for the entire year.
Wow.
So he is correct. It doesn't make sense. So if you spend that much money for traveling from July 1st to the 1st of March, it behooves you to talk about giddy-gop spending, unless you want to admit to extra giddy-gop spending.
Thank you, honourable member. The chair recognizes the honourable member for Marcus City.
Since they have access to it, could lay the details of that, because our recollection is that the 12 million that he's talking about is not the spending of the Prime Minister as the member for Kalani is talking about. We are talking in those figures about a number of civil servants and others who were involved in the exercise of recovery from and coping with the challenges of COVID. So we would like for you to lay the details, but this, are you saying it was the Prime Minister? As far as we're aware, it is not.
Thank you, honourable member.
If Marco City would listen, that figure is the entire travel budget.
Correct.
Just that it exceeds the entire allocated travel budget for this year for the Prime Minister and all the public servants as well to travel for 12 months.
Yeah, and the point is, you talked about the period it was in, and so I'm sure you're fully aware that public servants travel throughout the Family Island on a consistent basis to address the issues, as well as those persons who need it to make other trips outside of the country. I'm not certain why that is a remarkable point in comparison to the figures that were just released.
Mr. Deputy, I wouldn't want to belabor the point, but during COVID, for instance, no prisoners were transported around the islands for travel. All non-essential travel stopped.
No prisoners.
None. And so public servants travel as they might. It just, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is a very curious thing when the actual is more than the allocated, and we continue to hear the same litany.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Kalani.
My time is running. The Prime Minister's non-answers to the press on travel make no sense because there's no justification for what he's doing. Mr. Deputy, while the Prime Minister frolics around the world in luxury, Bahamians are becoming increasingly outraged by the New Day administration's tax and seizure policy. Do you know now, Mr. Deputy, business license, to do business in the Bahamas is becoming so much more complex and complicated. Now, as you pay your business license, they're asking you to pay for your projected revenue next year, a year in advance.
No.
Businesses are complaining, how can they pay today's for last year and project the revenue for the following year and pay on that? And Mr. Deputy, they must pay a minimum at what was paid the previous year. So this is causing lots of strain to businesses, and if by chance they end up paying more than the revenue they produced, then government owes them, and we know from experience, if government owes you, God help you. I don't know whether you get paid or it goes as a credit. I'm talking from experience. You still have a credit for me for $4,000 that the government owed me for a long time. I ain't get back yet. So, Mr. Deputy, you're asking lots of the business, especially contractors, are experiencing serious challenges with this because they're not sure they're going to have a job next year. But you're asking them to pay business in advance that you're projected to possibly make millions of dollars when you're not sure you're going to have a job. Fix it. It's wrong. It's wrong. If you're short of cash flow, then don't project your inadequacies to the public. Don't project it. Those who owe taxes have a responsibility to pay. However, no one thought the PLP administration would be so hostile and aggressive in taking people's land through legal seizure powers. The New Day administration has published a list of properties and buildings that are to be sold. In his mid-year statement, the Prime Minister said, quote, "The vast majority of real property areas affect foreign owners." Vast majority, Mr. Deputy, means that some Bahamians are likewise affected. And many Bahamians wonder who the Prime Minister's tax collectors are coming for next, as their gravelicious appetite for the people's money continue to grow. Many are now afraid, Mr. Deputy, that if they fall behind with their real property tax, are the Prime Minister's tax collectors coming to take their land too. Some people have bought land in anticipation for their children. Are you coming to take the children's land? You have no respect for the kids either? Man, for God's sake. The PLP is taxing.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Freetown.
Stop that clock.
I'm quite sure Kalani knows that there's no real property tax on vacant property owned by Bahamians. So unless he's referring to vacant land owned by foreign nationals, there'd be no real property tax bill.
I'm happy. Are you going to introduce real property tax on family islands and vacant land? But these are things I'll tailor. Mr. Deputy. Mr. Deputy. The PLP is taxing Bahamians and using the people's money to spend on PLPs. They're even taxing the poor to help the PLPs live in luxury. Mr. Deputy, we are now halfway into the PLP's term in office. They promised in their manifesto, quote, "build a new hospital in New Providence through public-private partnership with simultaneous improvements to conditions at the Princess Margaret Hospital," end quote. They have already walked away from this promise. Rather than building a new hospital, they now say they're building a specialty hospital. They know they can't deliver on what they promised, so they downsized the commitment. But they are even struggling with this so-called specialty hospital. Remember, they said it would be a public-private partnership. Well, that part has disappeared also. What they now propose is borrowing money from the Chinese to build the specialty hospital. Many Bahamians were shocked to hear this. The Minister of Health told the Nassau Guardian that they are seeking to borrow $290 million from the Chinese Exim Bank. We have come to learn through previous projects that their policy are, when they lend, it is to also get the construction contract and supply the workers. So, is it that the PLP is going to borrow money from the Exim Bank for the specialty hospital and then give the building contract to the Chinese company and then allow hundreds, if not thousands, of more Chinese workers in the country to build this specialty hospital? Bahamians will not be pleased with this. We have thousands of young people out of work. We do not need hundreds of foreign workers building a hospital that Bahamians could build. But that's not the only problem with this specialty hospital. A company of Bahamian businessmen who owns part of the land they want to build the hospital on, the PLP administration says it has some type of handshake understanding that they could use the land for a hospital and come to a compensation agreement later with the businessman and his company. It could be either for money or a land swap. If the government is going to acquire this land, it should be for agreed compensation that is disclosed to the country. How much money is being paid, or how much land is being swapped, and where is the land? The government of the day is the custodian of the people's money and the people's land. And the New Day administration should not get into secret deals with the people's money and land. Tell us now, what businessman's company will get in this compensation? The people have the right to know. My administration left in place funding for a new wing of the hospital, a 4-story complex similar to the critical care block. That wing would have been completed now if the PLP had followed through on the FNM's plan. The capacity of PMH would have already been increased if they didn't stop, review, and cancel this new wing. Mr. Deputy, secret deals are a never-ending problem when it comes to this government. They take after the game show many Bahamians like to watch, the show Let's Make a Deal. After causing some of the highest electricity bills in our history, word has come out that some type of secret deal is in the works for privatizing BPL or parts of its operation. BPL is a state-owned entity. It is the people's electricity supplier. It is not owned by you. There should be widespread disclosure of what the PLP proposes to do. There should be open, competitive bidding if private companies are involved. The BPL union is upset. Workers are afraid for their futures, and I'm happy to you that the members admitted that the workers' futures would be protected. The Bahamian people don't know what will happen to their service and what bills are likely to be in the future. Secrecy is bad for Bahamians. Many fear a sweetheart deal for some PLP. We need full disclosure as to what is happening at BPL. Mr. Deputy, it amazes me that the Prime Minister is all over the world trying to fix the crime and violence problem in Haiti, though he is unable to fix these same problems here in the Bahamas. We had a bad start to the year when it comes to killings. There have been 30 murders in just over 2 months of the year. The crime problem the PLP pledged to address at the last election has gotten worse on their watch. Our crime problem has drawn international attention, threatening hotel bookings. Tour and tourism services companies have reported a loss in business. The Bahamian people are losing confidence in the New Day administration when it comes to helping make our communities safer. The PLP and this Prime Minister haven't come up with a plan. There were 128 murders during the first full year of the Davis administration in 2022. This was the second most in our history. And during my administration, we had some success in reducing the murder count. In back-to-back years, in 2018 and 2019, we had 91 and 95 murders respectively. That was still too many, but those years represented some progress in combating this vexing problem. And the New Day administration has a prime minister who's not focused and a minister of national security who is the wrong man for the job. The minister should resign. Our country continues to suffer as a result of the PLP's failure on crime. Mr. Deputy, I proudly hail from Baintown. I was proud that the last Free National Movement administration started the Over the Hill initiative to create tax concessions for people in the inner city communities. It is astounding that the Davis administration would end this program, which has helped so many Bahamian businesses. The PLP argument that the concessions created through the Over the Hill initiative could be accessed through other existing concessions is disingenuous. The Economic Empowerment Zone Act we created is the only act that provides concessions for the development of properties and businesses in the over-the-hill Black Belt areas. The act incentivized Bahamians to return to the area or to invest in the area. This helped to revitalize areas and provide opportunities for Bahamians to become financially independent. And businesses registered under the Act could access concessions for the development of property which provided for an exemption from real property tax, exemption from customs duties and construction materials for building or renovation of structures, exemption on excise tax, and exemption on stamp tax and any other taxes that arise from the sale or transfer of real property. Rather than ending the Over the Hill initiative, the current administration should adopt it as a model and extend these concessions to other inner city and depressed areas: Camp Road, Fox Hill, St. Barnabas, Angliston, parts of Fort Charlotte, and Gambia Village. This will afford more citizens the opportunity to become the masters of their financial destiny. And the PLP claims to be the party of the people? Mr. Deputy, I didn't hear that. Oh, you're thinking like an F&M. Yet, Mr. Deputy, it is dismantling something created to help the people. He talks big about inequality when addressing certain private groups. But in his actions, he is more concerned about PLP fat cats than he is about the poor, the vulnerable, and those seeking opportunities for economic and social equality. Mr. Deputy, it was said that all of the concessions can be found elsewhere. I said it's not so. They said that it's available on a tariff. I brought all the tariff codes that I will table here to show that that was misinformation. They also said that the people in the inner city have no funds to do such investment or renovations. Mr. Deputy, that was why the Small Business Development Center was established. As a matter of fact, the evidence is there. $122,000 was issued via the SPDC. The 36 individuals who created 142 jobs and generated $4.8 million. So the evidence is there that it works. Mr. Deputy, the evidence is there also that in those areas, the murder rates had decreased, and so did the armed robbery rates decreased. So, all those individuals whose businesses were not able to obtain what was owed to them, what was promised to them via our legislation, those individuals should be refunded. They should be refunded. And I would hope, when the next government comes about, they would reenact that and refund all the loss that individuals would have incurred by being forced to pay these concessions that they should have received. I expressed previously my concerns regarding the Prime Minister's misguided decision on the Haiti crisis. Haiti has descended into near anarchy since the assassination of its president in July 2021. Don't let me go off course now. More than 8,400 people were victims of gang violence in Haiti last year, including killings, injuries. That's 5 minutes? 4? Oh, Jesus Christ. Injuries and kidnappings, according to the United Nations. The latest reports on the situation are deeply troubling. The gangs seem to have banded together. They are assaulting what is left of the collapsed Haitian state. It has been reported that the gangs control 80% of Port-au-Prince. Wow. In a series of assaults last week, gunmen opened fire on the international airport and seized police stations. A raid on prisons freed nearly 4,000 prisoners. Wow. Where do you think they're heading? At times, the Haitian capital had been described as a war zone. Haiti has a long, sad history of violence and disorder. Let me know when I have to. The United States does not want to lead a military intervention to stabilize Haiti, nor does Canada, France, or the European nations. Kenya has pledged 1,000 police officers in an effort that is not fully defined or clear. In fact, a court in Kenya ruled that what their government proposed was unconstitutional. Agreements were signed last week between Haiti and Kenya to try and fix the problem, and it is unclear if those agreements will satisfy the Kenyan court. This proposed Kenyan-led effort has no disclosed plan. It's unclear how big the overall force would be. It is unclear if it would cause the integrated naval, air, ground, and intelligence gathering components required. What is clear is that the intervention force would have to fight what are now well-armed militia. With all the confusion, lack of plan, our Prime Minister has committed 150 Bahamian troops to Haiti. Mr. Deputy, could I have extra 4 minutes? Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Time moving, man. Time moving. Go ahead.
He has refused. I can now go to my pace.
Go ahead.
He has refused to have this matter debated in Parliament. And the government either does not know or is not sharing further details of what role the Bahamas will play in this mission. This is reckless. Our sons and daughters should not be sent to a war zone with no plan in order to solve the Haitian problem. Haitians have come to a decision as to how. Haitians need to come to a decision as to how they will govern their country. Foreign interventions have failed repeatedly. Not only is there no clear plan for the military intervention, there's no plan as to how long the troops will remain. Where's the political plan on the way forward? Our Prime Minister is in way beyond his depth on this complicated foreign policy. There is a clear indicator in all of this he should pay attention to. If the US, France, Canada, and EU do not want to lead a mission in Haiti via a military campaign and stabilization force, then is it wise for the Bahamas to be involved in such intervention, along with many Bahamians? I fear for the lives and well-being of our officers. Mr. Deputy, the FNM, we were very successful in resolving the dump fires here in New Providence. That posed a serious problem, and as a matter of fact, Mr. Deputy, as a matter of fact, Bahama, we had meetings with Bahama because the smoke from the fire was causing serious problems with the gas.
Yes.
we subsequently had corrected the fires. And we had created, just be quiet, we have created an ecological park at the dump site. If you walk on the dump now, it's an ecological park. But Mr. Deputy, would you believe, and I want the entire Bahamas to listen to me, would you believe that the government was making plans to create a graveyard in the dump site for the Bahamian people? Mr. Deputy, I will provide you with the proof afterward so as not to disclose my information. A graveyard has been approved by this government in the dump site. You have absolutely no respect for the Bahamian people, because who are you going to put in that grave site? It's individuals like myself who are descendants from Baintown, inner city, etc., who do not have the finances to go into the private graveyard. So what do you want to do with me? Not only do you take the tax concessions from over the hill, not only do you tax me extra in terms of bread item, basket item, not only do you tax me extra in terms of medicine, but now you want to bury me in the dump. Do you not have any respect? Do you not have any respect for the Bahamian people? You wait until we correct the dump. There's no more fire. So since there's no more fire, you now want to bury me in the dump. No, Mr. Deputy.
No, man.
After they had approved it, the managers of the dump site recognized that activities were going on within the dump site. I have proof. I don't talk about proof.
That's a bunch of garbage.
Mr. Deputy, the managers had to fence in and cordon the area that strictly belongs to the dump, so that the government or whomever was doing the work would have recognized and realized that they were within the dump boundaries, and hence the project was stopped. But my God, let me conclude. Because I'm poor and from Baintown, you want to bury me in the dump?
The chair,
You're wrong.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for South Beach.
So what? You're wrong.
Mr. Deputy.
Honorable member. Honorable member.
No respect for the poor.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for South Beach.
Mr. Deputy.
Member.
Mr. Deputy, thank you for recognizing me. Thank you for recognizing me, Mr. Deputy. I rise on the point of order. I would ask that the member for Kalani withdraw those statements if he is not willing at this point to table whatever documents he have that speaks to the nonsense that he was spewing in this parliament. I happen to be the chairman with regards to the new dump site. Sorry, to the new grave site. Right? To the new graveyard site located on Fire Trail Road. And I'm asking you, Mr. Deputy, to ask this member to either withdraw those statements forthwith, right? Or table these documents that he have immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable member.
Much. I will table. I've said to you, listen, the government of which the dump site land falls under the office of the Prime Minister. They themselves, some within the office themselves, did not know until the dump cordoned off their boundaries, only to discover that you gave permission to go in the wrong location. Now, Mr. Deputy, I will show you the map so as to confirm what I'm saying. If the member
The chair recognizes the honorable member for South Beach.
If the member insists, when I walk out of this parliament, I will show the evidence to the press.
Let me how it goes.
They would know.
No. Mr. Deputy, I am not the guardian of the rules, but I believe that if I'm asking you, Mr. Deputy, to have him either withdraw or table immediately, he can't go and come back. He have to withdraw, and then when he go and come back, present it again.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Member for Kalani, are you going to lay those documents on the table?
Always table now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy. Mr. Deputy, as I've said before, I will disclose all the evidence to you. I cannot, nor will I disclose it publicly, because you will follow in what you do best, victimize individuals.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Freetown.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, this member began his contribution by bragging that he always has the documents to prove what he said, and that he would table them after he finished.
All the time.
The record would show that that was his boast, and that he would table them after he finished speaking. If he has now retracted that position, Mr. Deputy Speaker, he's challenged by the member who says he has the responsibility. That is not so. And if he is basing it on what somebody told him. And so the reality of it, Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, is that this trafficking on what people tell you, what you hear, what you may find, is a dangerous precedent in this House that protects us with privilege, so we do not have to be afraid.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy. I do not speak without having my evidence. I say again, you wanted to bury me in the dump. The evidence are there. I will table nothing. I will withdraw nothing. I will show the evidence to the deputy so as not to allow you to victimize my source.
Honorable Member, we will have that expunged from the record until you provide evidence of that document. Thank you very much. As many. Oh, the chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Exuma and Ragged Island.
Mr. Deputy, in the 38 minutes of fear-mongering by the former Prime Minister, he had several untruths. One of them relates to the insurance at ZNS. He indicated that it has lapsed. He indicated that it has lapsed. This information is false and reliably informed by the executive of the corporation and the minister responsible. And I urge the member, as a responsible former Prime Minister, to withdraw this erroneous information that he's put on the record.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Kalani.
Mr. Deputy,
Let him lay the
the
document.
member, the insurance had not been paid, and ZNS staff, when they go to, the word lapse may have been the wrong way, but it's not being paid, and their insurance are not being honored. As a result, they must pay themselves. That's the point. That's the point. They have to pay themselves because you did not pay. You had not paid the bills. So for all intents and purposes, the individuals must pay their own. If they walk to the doctor's office, it's cash and go. Cash and go.
The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Exuma and Ragged Island.
Mr. Deputy, the member as a medical professional understands the language of insurance. And I would invite him to withdraw the erroneous information that fearmongers in the minds of the persons at ZNS. So if he's saying it's in arrears and he is withdrawing the word lapsed, I would accept his explanation. But I would want to hear him say that, Mr.
Thank
Deputy.
you, Honorable Member. Honorable Member for Kalani, are you going to withdraw?
I said, Mr. Deputy, that lapse may have been an inappropriate word. The problem is, I would withdraw lapse. The problem is they have not paid it, and as a result, the individual has no insurance, and no insurance is being honored, and the individuals have to pay themselves. Some has chronic illnesses, they cannot afford to pay it, and as a result, your government your government can possibly impose bankruptcy on those individuals.
Thank you,
stand by
Honorable.
that.
Thank you, Honorable Member.